Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Become a Millionaire. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode. I just wanted to say thank you again. I really appreciate it, and our whole goal here is to get as many millionaires as we can. We have to make 1 billion more. This episode is a little bit different than some other episodes. We try to do a white background, and I apologize for any background volume, but there should be less wind this time. So, as you can tell, I'm wearing white on white on white. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. But today's episode is going to be called compounding, and we're going to talk about the power of compounding, right? So what do I mean by compounding? Well, I mean by the power of So the definition of something that compounds or compounding, it's an adjective, okay? It can also be a noun, and it's composed of two or more parts, elements, or ingredients. The second one is having or involving two or more actions or functions, and then as a verb, to put together into a whole or combine. And what I mean by compound is where we have money compound, where we have stocks compound, and we have assets compound, right? The power of combination and combining, think of it almost as a weight that pressures and keeps pressuring, right? So as many of you guys know, to make a diamond, it takes an immense amount of pressure, right? So imagine, for a second, how much pressure that it would take to make a diamond, okay? Now imagine if you had the similar pressure or asimilar pressure, and it was with your finances, it was with your assets. And then imagine how catastrophic it could be if it was with your liabilities, okay? You still with me so far? So in this episode today, we're specifically gonna dive in and talk about how compounding is beneficial and also crucial, but it can also be very hurtful. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. So the first thing that I wanna talk about is how it hurts us. How does compounding actually hurt us? Alright, compounding can hurt us in multiple different ways. The number one way that I can think of is compounding in the wrong way, as if driving in reverse is the analogy that I would use. Like, how fast can you go, 60 miles an hour? If you were going 60 miles per hour, it would take you an hour to go 60 miles. But imagine if you were going backwards. Well, then you would be 120, right? Because you did 60 there and now you have to do 60 back, right? So that's what I mean. You driving in reverse doesn't help you, it just hurts you, right? Or in this particular instance, not driving in reverse, but driving backwards, right? So imagine you spend your whole life and you only buy liabilities. So you buy the nicest car, you live in the nicest house, you don't invest anything anywhere else, and you just have the nicest liabilities. And that's great. You have liabilities, right? You enjoy. But what about when you want to retire? Well, you don't have any money saved from your retirement, so you can't retire. So then you therefore have to keep working and keep working and keep working. And obviously that's not beneficial, and that's not something that you can do on a consistent basis, because eventually you're going to get to the point where you can no longer work, right? So it hurts you the longer that you go without compounding, right? Like, for example, say you are 20 years old, okay? And you learn about this magnificent thing called compounding today, and you start today. 20 years old, all the way till 80, right? You'll have 60 years of compound interest, compound finances, compound assets. But if you start when you're 40, and say you pass away at 50, and obviously you don't know that, but you live as if, every day could be your last, which I encourage, obviously, but you don't plan, then therefore, you've only had 10 years max of compounding. And then the next generation of kin, like your friends, your family, and stuff like that, they won't get the best of the best, right? Because you've spent all the money. There is no money to go to them. So compounding in reverse hurts. And as soon as you learn that compounding is a real thing, and it affects your daily life, and it affects how you have assets and everything, that's when you learn, like, wait, this could be used as a tool for me to get more wealthy. And that's what we're talking about today, how it can be a tool on how you can get to be more wealthy. And let me put this into perspective for you. If you bought a 2012 Tesla Model S, top of the line when it came out, $77,000. That's what it would cost you for the car. $77,000 for the car. And for that car, and all things considered, that's not that bad, right? Like, there's cars that are much more expensive than that, and they're not even as nice. 2012 Model S, brand new, 2012, $77,000. What would that be worth today? What would that Model S be worth today? Would it be worth $77,000? Well, the answer is no. Because of depreciation, via miles, the years. Obviously, it keeps going down, right? Because it's worth less and less. Nobody was going to pay $77,000 for that Model S today because it's not worth it. Okay? If you bought $77,000 in Tesla stock instead of buying that car, same day, how much would that be worth today? How much do you think it's worth today? $7 million. $7 million. That's what it would be worth today. That's the power of compounding. When you have a liability that you buy in 2012 that's buy for 77 and is worth maybe 45 today, it's reverse compounding, right? Because you're going backwards. But what happens if you go forwards? What happens if you bought that Tesla stock and then you sold it today and you got $7 million? Obviously, you have to pay a lot in taxes and capital gains and stuff like that. And again, I'm not endorsing buying Tesla stock right now or anything like that. But I'm saying if you put your money, not where your mouth is, but you put your money where your brain is, that's when you get the real and true results. Because it compounds. It works for you. It works on your behalf. In 2012, if you bought that Model S, you'd have a great car and you'd have great life experiences. But if you bought the Tesla stock, you could have multiple of those, right? And all it costs is time. It's 2021 right now, and 2012. 9 years of compound interest. 9 years of that money working for you, working for you, working for you, working for you, and then you get to reap the benefits. That's the beautiful thing of compounding, right? It works for you. You don't have to do it. Like, you in your time, it doesn't cost your time to do it, except for maybe initially to start it up, right? That's the power of compound. Let's talk about interest. When you buy a car, and say we have two people, you have a good case and a bad case. A good case, you get a car, $100,000 car at 3% interest. Okay? And then you get a bad case scenario, you get a $100,000 car at 20% interest. What's going to have higher payments? Obviously, the 20% interest, right? Than the 3%. So you're pedaling backwards because you're paying way more in interest on this one than you are on this one. And that's because they're being rewarded for having good credit. But you're still pedaling backwards because you're buying the liability. So it's who's pedaling backwards more and faster, right? Obviously, I'm not saying don't buy cars because you definitely need them. But I'm saying have your assets pay for them. Don't let you pay for them. Let your assets pay for them, okay? And what I mean by that is your assets can pay for them. Let your cash flow, the other assets pay for them. You don't necessarily need to be paying for them, okay? Another thing that I want to talk about is what happens if you don't compound. What happens if you don't compound? And think about it. Today, if you didn't make any decisions that didn't compound, what would it look like? Even school compounds. And you're like, Joel Cart, that is no way. Hear me out. You go to school. You go to school so you can become an above average individual, so you can get an above average income, right? Because people that go to school have a above average income, right? Because you're worth more. You've put in the work, so therefore you're worth more. Congratulations to you for that. Then you go into like an internship where you're compounding because they want real life experiences. And you have those real life experiences because you're interning there. And they're paying you less, so it's a win for them and a win for you. You get the experience, they get to pay you less for being an intern. It's compounding. Then you get out of school. You've had, the compound has affected you because you went to school, you got experience at school, now you have a degree, now you can get paid more because you have that degree, right? So it compounds. Let's talk about interest rates again just for a second, okay? You borrow something at 3% and you say you sell it at 5%. You've therefore made 2%, right? That's compounding, where the money works for you and it adds on and the pressure gets higher and higher. For example, as of the time of this video, I am personally going to buy Dr. Pepper Keurig stock. I'm going to buy a bulk amount of it. And this is a true story. I'm going to do it by the time you see this video, okay? I have bought a bulk amount of Dr. Pepper Keurig stock because I believe that it's a good buy right now. And if I buy it for $30 a share, which is about the going rate right now, and in 10, 15 years, it's worth $120 a share, which is the highest that it's ever been, how much money did I make? How hard did I work for that? Right? Think about it. Money works for you. You don't work for money. Your assets pay for your liabilities. That's called FIRE. It's called financially independent, retire early. It's freeing. It's saying that if you didn't work a day in your life, the money that you had from your asset column pay for your liabilities, right? That's great. That's the goal for most people, and I hope, and if you watch these videos, that we can get there together. And I appreciate your time, right? Because it's worth more than money. But that's the power of compounding. Imagine you have $100,000 and you compound it over 10 years at 1% a year. That's 10%. Now imagine paying 10% as the alternative, right? Think about it. What is the difference? What's a 10% return on $100,000 or a negative 10% return on $100,000? So you either owe money or you make money, right? Obviously you have to pay taxes and everything like that, but the point of this is you need to learn how to compound, and you need to learn how to do it smart, effectively, efficiently, and young. That's basically the whole point of this. The next thing is, when should you compound? When? The answer is today. You need to get your finances in a way where you have some money free, where you're not spending all you make, because if you spend all you make, you will never be wealthy, period, ever. And then you get to the point where you have a little bit to spend, a little bit to work with, and then that's when you do it. Like $100 today in any company is better than $100 spending it and not making any money back. Because if you spend it on just, we'll say McDonald's cheeseburgers, you spent $100 on McDonald's cheeseburgers. You got some food, but there is an absolute 0% chance that you have any return on investment. At least with a bad company, you have a potential to get something back. Or a house, real estate, anything. Like, you need to have the potential is obviously the first thing. So, and the power of compounding is a beautiful thing, because you have $100 in your bank account. Another month happens, what do you have? You have $200 in your bank account. Another month happens, you have $300 in your bank account. You invest the $300 in whatever you want, anything that makes you money. Well, then now it compounds, right? Now that $300 is now worth more than it was before. Because say you do peer-to-peer lending and you charge 10%, you give your buddy $10 and you charge him 10%, right? $20, $30, over and over and over again, and you get more and more money. And then your money's worth more and more because you keep getting more and more money, right? Like, that's the power of compounding. That's how the wealthy get wealthy. They have a lot of assets and they compound it. Think about why Jeff Bezos is so rich. He gets paid a percentage on every single Amazon sale. Or Amazon doesn't, he sold the shares, but for this, he gets paid, or Amazon itself gets paid for a share of every single sale they make. Think about all of those as little bitty assets. Think of how much they compound and compound and compound. How much is Jeff Bezos worth an hour? Is he worth more an hour now? Or 50 years ago before 50 years ago when he just started Amazon? Or we'll say 30 years ago, because obviously he's not that old. So 30 years ago before he started Amazon. Well, the answer is he's worth more now. Well, why is he worth more now as opposed to then? Compound interest. It has compounded, right? His time is worth more. His money is worth more. Everything he has is worth more than it was before because of compound interest. If you take anything away from today, and if you've taken any notes, all you need to do is do this one thing. Start today, start compounding, and watch what happens. Watch the result. It's amazing. It doesn't happen all at once, but it happens over time, little by little by little by little. Now I have a math problem for you, or it's kind of like a long word answer or a short word answer, whatever those are called. And bear with me, and then you tell me what you would rather have, okay? Question is, would you rather have $3 million today or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Pause this and think about your answer real quick. A penny that doubles every day for 30 days or $3 million? Okay, you got your answer? Okay. What would a penny double every day look like? Day 1, 1. Day 2, 2 cents. Day 3, 4 cents. And then it goes up. Day 4, 8 cents. Day 5, 16 cents. Day 6, 32 cents. Day 7. But see how these aren't very large increments, but they compound. They grow. They grow. Day 12, $20. Day 13, $40. Then we'll get to day 20, $5,242. Day 25, $167,000. Day 27, $671,000. Now notice, the last 3 compounds are the greatest. They take the longest time to get. It takes you longer to get to day 27 from day 1 than day 30 to day 27, right? Like, we can agree on that? So once you get compounding, it's a snowball effect. We'll do the last 3. Day 28, $1.342 million. Day 29, $2.684 million. Day 30, $5.368 million. Now notice how the last 3 days have the largest amount of money, and it took a lot longer to get to day 27 and up. But once you get to day 27 and up, it grows, and it grows fast. So that's the point. Start today, start compounding, change, and be the difference that you want to see in this world. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Deuces. The last little bonus clip that I have for you is that Einstein said it's an unmovable, unfathomable force. The power of compounding. He said that it's like the 8th wonder of the world. Think about it. If these smart men know what it is, I think you should take their advice, right? Warren Buffett started delivering papers when he was just a boy. His allowance per week is 5 cents. He then bought and sold papers and made 1 penny a paper, but he would do 500 a day. He read this book called 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000, and he was actually doing compound tables of weighing machines, and you charged a penny to weigh somebody. And then he just did it for fun. He was like, what happens if they weigh themselves 10 times a day? How long until this first machine pays for the second? And the second for the third? And the third for the fourth? What I've learned is that going from 1 to day 27, in what we talked about today, takes a while. And it's worth the wait. But the difference between days 27 and 28 is more than every other day combined. And then 28 to 29, Apple's market cap, right, was $1 trillion. It took them 50 years or 30 years or however long they've been in business, I'm pretty sure it's like 50 years, to get to $1 trillion. In 1 year, it took them to $2 trillion. 1 year. That's the difference, and that's the power of compound interest. Right? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.